The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
This is Haymaker, Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's live. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the goals cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. They ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm a bow wow, you can hear from the pros. It's Haymaker, Combat Sports, time to roll.
Welcome back to Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. I'm your host, EJ Reed, joined by my fellow hosts, Aaron Admire, Steve Johnson. What's good, fellas?
Happy Tuesday, and congratulations to the LA Dodgers. It looks like they're winning the World Series tonight.
What's going on, Steve?
Nothing much, man. Here after a beautiful weekend of fights. Other than that, man, doing good.
Yeah, well, last time I checked, Admire, I think they said Freeman hit a home run in the first again.
He hit another home run. He's the new Mr. October. He's hit a home run in every game of the World Series so far. That's insane.
They need to check his bats for. Was it Sammy Sosa that had the juice bats back in the day? Or?
There's a few of them that did. I don't know, man. He's just on fire. And they're throwing right down the middle to him. So it's not like he's doing anything special. It's just, he's motivated. It's cool to see.
Yeah. Usually if it's a good series, it'll spill over in November. This might be over in October, but there's still some signs of life in the Yankees. They got one run on the board, and it's only the bottom of the third, so we'll see how that plays out. But other than that, I feel like this month has kind of been dragging on a little bit. It's not even Halloween yet. We talked a little bit about it last week. Are you still planning on passing out those shots?
No. I think I'm gonna go with the girlfriend and take her grandkids trick or treat and do that whole thing.
That's always fun. I just got off boot to the face. I don't know who came with the idea first because Rucker talked about passing out shots and candy. I don't know if it was you that did it first or him.
Yeah, I talked about it on 80 Proof before, that I'd hand out the fireball shots to the parents.
Yeah, so I guess he jacked it from you. But it's spooky season. I went to a Halloween party this past weekend. It was pretty chill, nothing too out of ordinary. My thing has been bringing on because I got this big speaker that has a mic hookup, so I've always brought it. It's the third time my buddy's thrown this party. I usually bring it for karaoke, but the mic ran out of batteries this time, so we had 2 songs in, and that was it. And after that, I'm like, I might as well just go home. I'm tired, so I left not too long after that. But other than that, it was a chill weekend. We had these fights this past weekend, and where'd you get to watch it this time, Admire?
I watched it on the go. We were out running around shopping and stuff, and I watched the whole main card on my phone.
Wow.
From Walmart, from Target, from TJ Maxx. I watched it everywhere.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. It's not ideal to watch it on the phone, but I've had to watch a lot of events this past year on my phone as well. So like I said, you got to do what you got to do. And I know you were working, Steve. Did you even get to watch it live?
Well, yeah, I did. I had to brief my clients. I'm like, hey, if I pause, I'll pause but just work with me. So I got to watch the good parts, watch the main card entirety after. But those fights I didn't want to miss, I made sure I watched and put up the laptop, where I work, and watched it that way.
Yeah, I was a bad podcast host. I don't know. I was just in some type of mood this past weekend, so I had the prelims on my iPad, but I wasn't really paying attention. Only 2 fights I was really interested in, so I just kind of had it as background noise. And I had like college football up until the main card. Then I switched the main card over to the main TV. So we'll just get into it. Prelims. Did y'all get a chance to watch any of the prelims? Admire. I know you're out and about, so I don't know if you even got to watch any of them.
No, I didn't get to catch the prelims. I did, I got a pop up on my phone that Jeff Neal beat RDA. So I was like, okay, cool. I think we all kind of expected Neal to win. So I need to go back and watch it.
I'm sure, Steve, you probably didn't get to watch all of the prelims, but did you get to watch some of the fights you wanted to watch on there?
I wanted to watch the Chris Barnett, but couldn't get to see that one.
I saw it.
Saw that one. Did he get hurt or something?
Yeah, and I'll get into that in a little bit.
And then I saw the catchweight bout. I'm butchering these names. Rebecca and Orobai.
Mateusz Rebecki versus Middleweight Orlobai.
Yeah, that was nasty and entertaining to watch as far as the damage. And of course I saw Jeff Neal and Hafo Sanjo, so say we talk about it later, but to me disappointing ending. And that's the only ones I watched on the early prelims. Now you're just including the early prelims?
Or they didn't even have early prelims on this one, just had prelims. Usually they'll have like the early prelims, but
okay,
straight up prelims on this one. So
yep.
Let's get into these results. In the welterweight division, we had Renat Varadinov defeating Carlos Leal by decision. Middleweight division, we had Ismail Nurdi defeating Bruno Silva by decision. So a lot of decisions in the beginning because it's followed by another decision. In the featherweight division, we had Fareed Basharat defeating Victor Hugo in the featherweight division. Then we got up to the heavyweight division. Next, we had Kennedy and Dechkuwu defeating Chris Barnett, TKO. Then we had in the middleweight division, Abus Magomedov defeating Bruno Ferreira by submission arm triangle. And then the catchweight that Steve was talking about earlier, at 160 we had Mateusz Rebecki defeating Middleweight Orlobai by decision, split decision at that. Welterweight division, we had Jeff Neal defeating RDA Rafael Dos Anjos by TKO knee injury. And then to top it off, we had Ibo Aslan defeating Rafael Kirkaria by TKO punches. Emma, I know you said you didn't get to watch it. I got to watch the Kennedy and Dechkuwu versus defeating Chris Barnett, and I know you said you didn't get to watch it, Steve, but it was such a weird. And then Chris Barnett got hurt. Looked like I don't even know how he got hurt. It was almost like a midsection type of injury. He fell weird. Chris Barnett, he's fun to watch, but I feel like he needs to probably get into more shape because he's only 5'8", 5'9". I guess he is what he is at this point. Was he mid-30s? So, but he could probably be a middleweight if he were to actually, get some type of physical. I don't know. He might be the best shape in the world. Maybe that's just his body type. But yeah, like I said, it was a weird injury, and I guess he just is what he is at this point. Just a fun guy to watch, just because he's so short and in the heavyweight division. But I don't know if you got to watch any of the highlights from it, Steve.
No, I actually didn't see the ending, but I saw how he was fighting. Definitely the shorter dude, and from what he looked like he was fighting, wasn't for real. I mean, wasn't nothing devastating happened from what I saw as far as somebody being over dominant, but he just looked small for heavyweight. Like you said, he can easily go down to middleweight, and I believe he'll be outsized and probably outdone if he even went down to light heavy.
Yeah, like I said, he may even be down to welterweight with that height, but who knows? But they're saying it's a leg injury. So
was Kennedy? Did he go up in weight? Did he?
Yeah, he's a light heavyweight.
Okay, that's what I thought.
this was her first heavyweight fight in the UFC. So I don't know. I guess we'll see if he stays up at that division. I feel like light heavyweight isn't super stacked nowadays, so I think he would be best served going back down to light heavyweight. But I guess it all depends on where he feels comfortable at. So we'll see what happens with him next. The Jeff Neal RDA fight. What do you think about that one, Steve?
That was looked like Jeff Neal was very sharp that fight, and from it seems if it probably would he looked like he was sharper than Rafael dos Anjos, and I think if he would have never got hurt, I think Jeff Neal would have got the one, I think, by knockout, because he was pretty sharp that fight.
Yeah, he did look sharp. And any word on that injury? Because that was kind of like a fluke injury. And anybody hear any news from that?
They were saying that it was a repeat injury, like he injured that leg before.
I don't know if you saw anything falling out from that, Amar.
No injury update. Let's see.
And I didn't know he previously injured it, but yeah, maybe he just re-aggravated it, and that's unfortunate because you'd like to see how the fight would play out. You know, if he was at 100%, and like you said, it may have turned out the same way. Like because, like you said, Jeff Neal looks sharp, so he may have ended up getting them regardless. But you hate to see somebody at the age of RDA, he's a seasoned veteran, go down like that, because as you get older, it's harder and harder to bounce back from these injuries. So let's hope that he has a speedy recovery. I don't know if there's been any updates on that, but I guess we'll be on the lookout. And if you're RDA at this point, I don't know what he was ranked. I think he's top 15 still. You got to kind of finally have those discussions about retirement. What do you think about that, Steve?
He's been in the game for a long time, and to climb up, I think Jeff Neal was 10, and I'm guessing Rafael dos Anjos was like 15 or something like that. And then, you're going further back, and you're not even in the top 10, and you got to wait to heal. And how old would Rafael be?
Well, I think he's like 39, maybe.
And he's up there. I say, if he has
he's 40. He's 40. He just turned 40.
If he has it in him, I'll say he does one more try. But I mean, as somebody that looks at MMA, I don't see it looking good for him. In his last fights, he didn't look as, dominant. When we saw Glover Teixeira, he was going up in the rise and kind of had a resurgence of, his skills and started submitting people. I don't see anything moving as of lately with Dos Anjos.
So unless they just updated it, I don't think Rafael wasn't even ranked going into this weekend. So
I got a number 15 still at lightweight, but I don't know if UFC's updated their website.
Okay, I see that as well. But I thought this was a welterweight fight. Huh. So he's still ranked at lightweight, but I guess he fought this last fight at welterweight. So.
Yeah, at welterweight, and then he fought number 10 Jeff Neal, but yeah, you don't get to make the top 15. You didn't win.
Yeah, so hopefully he heals up, and we'll see how he moves forward in the future. But let's get into the main card, the middleweight division. We had Cheryl Bruden Magomedov defeating Armen Petrosyan KO, and I've never seen this finish before. Maybe y'all have. Double back spinning fist winning. That was nasty. All three of us had Magomedov. What do you think about this one, Admire, before I get to you, Steve?
Yeah, Magomedov looks great. I think they're going to try to make a star out of him. I had him winning round 1 of course, but that double back fist, no, have not seen that. I mean, you can say it was lucky, but I mean, it did what he was trying to do. So you can't really say it was lucky. It worked. I don't know if it's even been attempted before. It was cool.
And Armin started off hot. He was putting the pressure on Magomedov and caught him with that punch that rocked him. But then Magomedov came back. And, from there on, he was kind of cruising. And like you said, in that second round, that double spinning back fist, and it was over. What do you think about this one, Steve?
I was about to say, when you said you haven't seen it before, I was about to hurry up and say I have. I said,
oh, yeah?
I was about to say I've done it.
Oh, yeah? In the video game?
Yeah. Which I'm just, I haven't seen it in reality, basically what I'm saying. That was a very creative knockout. And then when you see it, you just see how it would work. And he said he practiced it with his brother and implemented it in the octagon. And to me, this is the first time I actually sat and watched a fight of his instead of highlights. And I definitely like the way he moves. I didn't think he was so much of a sort of have kickboxing / karate bouncing back and forth, but this is that type of fighter. I think he's very special. And, he's very reflexive. His reflexes are very good. And I see him, put him against Pereira. I think that would be an amazing fight.
Alex Pereira.
I'm just comparing styles, how he has a unique stand-up style that can definitely go through some of these people in the top 5 in middleweight.
Yeah, I still think it's levels and kind of foreshadowing to when we talk about the co-main event. Well, not the co-main event, the third fight of this one. But yeah, when you think of Dagestanis, you think of like Sambo wrestling, and this guy seems to like to stand up and bang with him. Like you said, got unique stand up, got the unique look, redhead, ginger over there.
I did find that he has a lot of haters online. There's a video of him doing like I don't know if it's high school or some kind of wrestling tournament, and he sucker punches the other guy. So Magomedov gets a lot of hate, anything posted related to him.
He sucker punched the guy?
Yeah. It actually, the video of him doing that came across my TikTok, I think yesterday or the day before. And then I seen some other videos with him in it today, and I was reading the comments and I was like, oh, damn, like a lot of people call this dude a punk.
Well, they are in the hurt business. These aren't choir boys, so it doesn't seem too far-fetched that he sucker punched somebody, but I guess it is what it is. But he's making noise in this middleweight division. What do you kind of see as ceiling for this guy, Admire?
I got to see him fight somebody that's kind of that next level, just to really see what his trajectory is. I mean, from what I've seen, it looks great, and he's probably going to make his way towards the top. But I just want to kind of have that reassurance fight. And, for next fight for him, I think it should be Paulo Costa.
Yeah. Your best friend, Paulo Costa.
Right.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad fight for him. I know, Steve, you saying you're intrigued to see the stylistic matchup between him and Alex Pereira, but any stops before that you might envision them having before a matchup like that would even happen?
Definitely, Paulo Costa would be a first choice before Pereira, because as of right now, Paulo Costa's record and his performance, he's basically a gatekeeper now. He hasn't been winning any fights far in between. I think that would be amazing matchup to test his skills, to push him in that upper echelon, because we all know Paulo Costa is still a dangerous person, and plus he'll get plus points on somebody who was a contender for a belt. which is I think an achievement itself.
What's Costa rank nowadays?
I think Costa's up around 8. No, he's 11. And then, yeah. So going back to what I said with Magomedov, I guess the sucker punch thing, it did happen during a jiu-jitsu match. He got pissed off at his opponent, but also there was another sucker punching incident that he was mad at somebody in the mall for a public display of affection. You know, it's like against the religion, and he fucking sucker punched this guy too.
Now that's more out of pocket where I'm like, all right, now we might need to look into this guy. Doing it in the heat of moment of combat, like, all right, you get a slide, but and I know I don't want to get too deep into the religious side of things, but at the end of the day, you just got to keep your hands to yourself. If they got authorities that act upon that, let them handle it. I don't know how to, religious views in different countries, how they handle stuff like that. So you're not the law and order, so keep your hands to yourself. So hopefully, he keeps his emotion in check and stay on the narrow path. And as far as the end cage stuff, I'm curious to see how he moves forward, because he's got promise. He's no spring chicken. He's 30, so it's time for the rubber to meet the road as far as what happens with him next. And I agree, Paulo Costa, ranked number 11, that'd be a good opponent for him to have next. Let's get into this next one. In the light heavyweight division, the featherweight division, we had Lerone Murphy defeating Dan Ige. Me and Steve both had Murphy, and Admire had Ige. Round one, Ige put the pressure on Murphy and got the takedown for about a minute and a half, but Murphy was able to get back to his feet. Ige dropped Murphy with that left hook with about 40 seconds left, but Murphy recovered and got the takedown at the end of the round that, kind of saved face a little bit, but I don't think that was enough to win Murphy that round. And go back and look at the judges' scorecards, they agree with that as well. And round two was a good bounce back round for Murphy. He was sticking and moving and got the takedown at the end of the round. And round three, a lot of grappling. Half of it, a lot of ground control by Ige, but he didn't do any damage, which I think was the reason why he didn't win this fight. And vice versa for the second half of that third round. But when they got back to the feet, the last 15 seconds, Murphy was landing some of the bigger strikes, and I think that ultimately won him the fight. What were your thoughts on this one, Amar?
Yeah, I love this fight. Not fight of the year, but it was probably the top 10 fights of the year for me.
Really?
Just a lot of good exchanges on the feet and on the ground. I had Ige winning round one. I had Murphy round two, so it was kind of a toss-up going into three, and they both had their moments. But I think Murphy got that takedown towards the end of round three. Then they stood up and they slugged it out, to finish it off. And I think Murphy got the best of the exchanges, and that's what really sealed the deal. But it was a cool fight, man. Like, I'm a Dan Ige fan after the super short notice fight. He's just tough. He's kind of I think he's on a 3-fight skid now. Hope to see him climb back up, but shout out to Murphy too. He put on a hell of a show. So it was a good fight.
Thoughts on this one, Steve?
Yeah, it seems like you hear Ige's name, it seems like he gets good wins, and like you said, he came in through that fight with Lopez and saved that. So that gave him props, even though he didn't win. But it seems like he gets a win. He just can't go over that hump. But saying that, he gave it to Lerone Murphy, Lerone Murphy, somebody who's coming on the up and rise. And it's always Ige gives people a good fight, but sometimes, never gets to the position I feel like he would want to. It was a close fight. And like y'all guys said, it was the action in the boil down to the last of the third round is what made it decide who was the winner. So, maybe for Murphy's next fight, maybe he has to buckle down and see that there's a bigger competition than Ige if you had problems with Ige.
Yeah, I mean, and it was good that both of them got a spot on the card where you had the featherweight champion headlining. So, you know, I'm sure they'll put those guys in some fun fights in the future. So we'll see how that lines up. But moving on to this next fight in the light heavyweight division, we had Magomed Ankalaev defeating Alexander Rakic by unanimous decision, and all three of us had Ankalaev in this one. So round one was kind of hard to judge. Both guys had their moments. Rakic working those leg kicks, but you could tell that it was a power difference because Ankalaev seemed to have more power. And round two, the last 2 minutes, Ankalaev started to ramp up the volume and land some nice shots and kind of separate himself in that round. And then in that last round, Ankalaev was walking Rakic down most of that round, landed some big shots. And Rakic tried to wrestle, but Ankalaev's takedown defense was on point. A lot of clinching in this round, and Ankalaev was able to get that decision. And what were your thoughts on this one, Amar?
I was disappointed in this fight. I expected a lot more action. For the first round, they kind of felt each other out for the most part with a lot of leg kicks and stuff and just, downloading information. I had Rakic winning round one just based on more strikes. I mean, there wasn't really a lot to go off of. But then the last two rounds, Ankalaev all the way. And I think Ankalaev didn't look that great, but I think that's just because the dance partner that he had, Rakic, he just seemed like he didn't want to engage. He didn't want to do much. And then that failed takedown attempt was, kind of half-ass, just I need to get a point somehow, it looked like. So, it wasn't the fight I hoped it'd be.
Steve?
Yeah, same here. Like I said, Uncle Rakic was, like I said, for the output, was more busier, but the latter rounds, Ankalaev, he was actually landing the harder shots from I remember and getting to the punch faster than him. I also think, which I remember the commentary, is the urgency, and his corner didn't give him urgency, which is, I think that's what probably messed his perception up of what actually was going on in the octagon, because it seemed like he took a back burner in the second, it's definitely the third round, to probably point fight, but then noticed the desperation and, like Madmar said, lazy takedown attempt where Ankalaev, probably what lost him that round too. He reversed him on the cage, which shows a dominant position that the other person initiated. So everything was reversed that Rakic did as far as even when it came to the grappling. It didn't look good. It looked out of desperation. And I don't think he noticed the urgency, or his corner didn't tell him the true urgency of the fight, which I don't think was relayed to him very well.
So coming into this weekend, I don't want to say consensus, but the chirps are that Alex Pereira shouldn't be worried about going up to heavyweight and facing John Jones, because he still got work at light heavyweight. And everybody's saying like the foil for him would be Ankalaev, including me, because Ankalaev will test his ground game. But as far as this performance this past weekend, I don't know what Ankalaev's game plan. I don't know if he wanted to show that he could stand up against Rakic, because it was not an impressive victory if you're trying to, showcase yourself for a title fight. And if he goes into Pierre fight and did that same game plan that he did this past weekend, he's gonna get starts, and it's not gonna be pretty. So I don't know. Was this like maybe he was trying to hold some cards to the chest and not show what he would do against Pierre? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what you think. Because I did not like this one.
Like I said, I think Ankalaev's, poor showing was his dance partner. Rakic didn't want to make it a dog fight and dirty. I mean, they just, both of them stood on the outside. they both, kind of have a similar style. So sometimes those similar styles, the fight turns out kind of a slower chess match. I don't know. I mean, I've seen Ankalaev do better than that before and look way better, but I don't know. I mean, after seeing that, I don't want to see him fight Pereira right now. I want to see exciting fights. And I think, like you said, I think Pereira would get him out of there early.
Steve?
Yeah, definitely performance. Especially Dana's opinion. He's not gonna like wrestlers messing up his favorite champions like Pereira. Which
but Uncle Lab didn't wrestle at all. So maybe it's like reverse psychology. Maybe he did it so Dana would put him in it. Like he's not gonna wrestle. He's gonna try to stand up.
Yeah, probably did that. But then again, you have to. If he did bank on that, we gotta look at the performance, which wasn't too good. Which we know Dana also worries about. I mean, shit. I feel like Uncle Ive probably could have had a title shot, but what's holding him back? I think the boss.
Yeah.
I don't know. They might give him a chance because I guess it's undeniable now. I don't know who's in front of him, if anybody, but maybe he might let him sit back to see what happens, and then if Pierre's still there, he might just book him to fight. But I don't know. We all have to see what really I think Dana's opinion, his opinion is.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is if whatever stand-up game he brought this past weekend, that won't work against Pereira. If they do make that fight, of course, we'll break it down even further. But I don't know. But going back to Pereira, like, what do you do with him next? I would be in favor for him going back down to middleweight before I see him going up to heavyweight, because I feel like it's much more they could do with other fighters at heavyweight before they try to bring him up. I don't know what you think about that, Jeremiah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of all the different plays the UFC has with him. I don't think you're going to see him go down to middleweight. To me, I think Pierre's. No, I'll get there. I think Pierre is the UFC's poster boy now. With McGregor sideline, probably never coming back. They need a new face. And what better to push somebody that's, multi-division champ. So I think they're going to put all their eggs on Pereira. Now, DDP and Strickland are already set to fight. Chimaev, I mean, we're going to get there, but he's going to be the champ one day. And he would go in there and just take Alex down. So I don't think you're going to see the UFC put Alex in middleweight, where it's inevitable that he's going to lose to Chimaev. So with that, I mean, he's either got to. I think he needs to defend it at light heavyweight. Somebody like a Roundtree.
He just faced Roundtree. You got to go against Uncle Iev, whether or not it was pretty or not.
I know, but the Roundtree fight was so fun. I mean, I just, of course, I'd love to see that running back, but, they probably won't do it that quick. It's always cool to see somebody go multi-division and go up to heavyweight, but you're putting too many things on hold, I believe. But their money fight's going to be Pereira John Jones. So might as well get him up there to heavyweight and test him. I don't know. There's a lot of ways.
Nah, there's no way you could skip Aspinall over Pereira if John Jones doesn't retire. If John Jones retires, I think all bets are off. And if John Jones does retire, I wouldn't be mad at Aspinall versus Pereira. Vacant. It wouldn't be a vacant title. It would be undisputed because Aspinall is the interim champion. So I wouldn't mind that.
I could see the UFC doing that too. I could see them trying to make Pereira Aspinall after John Jones fights, and then they'll try to match up the winner of Pereira and Aspinall against the winner of John Jones Stipe.
I don't see that happening unless John Jones retires. Because John Jones' inactivity during the pandemic, I don't know why he didn't fight, but the reason he hasn't fought then because of the pec injury. I think if he does continue to go on, I don't think we'll see like a large gap where they could justify putting that fight on first before having a champion on. But I don't know. Strange things have happened, but they got a lot of sort out between, I guess, really 3 divisions. So we'll see how that plays out. But Amar kind of touched on it earlier. Let's get into this co-main event. In the middleweight division, we had Khamzat Chimaev defeating Robert Whitaker, submission, face crank. Me and Steve both had Khamzat and Amar had Whitaker. There's not a whole lot to talk about this fight. Khamzat got the takedown immediately. Like I was so impressed by how he didn't play any games. He just went out there and took him down, suffocated Whitaker. Whitaker was able to resist a little bit, for some of the round, but eventually Khamzat got in there and got the face cranked and submitted him. And apparently, I hadn't got a chance to look at the pictures, but I heard about it. He fucked his teeth up.
Yeah, it's
Damn.
gross, dude. The picture is like looking down in his mouth, and his front teeth are folded back. But it's not like the teeth broke off and folded. The jaw that his teeth are connected to, that jaw part broke and bent back. When it popped up on my timeline, I was like, what is that? Oh, that's a mouth. Oh shit, that's Robert Whitaker.
Nasty stuff. I may go back and look at it. But what are your thoughts on this one, Alan?
Chimaev shoots that takedown quick. I mean, it's a great takedown. I mean, it reminds me of GSP, just, getting the best of the best people with the takedown. Robert Whitaker only got off 2 strikes in this fight, and they were both leg kicks. Other than that, I mean, he was on the defense. There's nothing more you can say. I think Chimaev can beat anybody and will be the middleweight champ easy. I mean, not even just middleweight. All of the UFC needs to start training harder on wrestling, because all these Dagestani Sambo wrestler dudes, you can see what they're doing. They're getting those takedowns. Everybody needs to train that, because they're all going to be champs.
Steve?
Yeah. Chimaev, one of the few people I know, other than I've seen Khabib do it, that actually dives for the legs. And usually these wrestlers don't dive for the legs because they're not as confident as, getting the dominant position. But, he stretches out, gets his leg. And Whitaker was only, for a brief half a second, was able to escape the, the backpack clinch, basically, his rear, but got right back on it. He couldn't escape him at all. And, and if anybody's been face cranked before, I mean, that hurts, let alone crushing your jaw to the point of crushing your jaw. Chimaev, it's a whole nother threat of knowing somebody is devastating striking, submission, whatever. Now you got people actually worried about if they're going to get hurt. Nobody wants their jaw crushed. Like, now I'm thinking about it, like, I saw that picture and it looks nasty. Like, basically his jaw caved in from the pressure. A vice gripped him. And so I think people are going to be very extra mental warfare when it comes to Chimaev, because nobody's injuring. We might get an arm break. We figured out Frank Mir, he might break your arm, but nothing is as devastating as what Chimaev showed this last Saturday. That means he doesn't care. Probably has enough choking strength to crush your esophagus, but we see he has that much strength.
Looking at it now, that's terrible. At first glance, when you're watching the fight, you're like, oh, that was a quick tap out. But you go back and look at this picture, you'll understand why it wasn't a RNC, because if you from the naked eye, it looked like he might have got it underneath the chin, but that was on the jaw. And damn, what kind of vice grip does Chimaev have? I mean,
That's what I'm.
Yeah, dude, like, he's going to wreck people, because once he gets a hold of people, like, you can't get him off.
it's like you're gonna panic because you don't want him to hurt your limb or your neck. Like nobody's doing that. You know, you might get. I think who knows if some of these athletes hold back a little bit during these submissions. You know, but I mean, that was just straight ruthless. That was he got it on his jaw and he tapped less than a second. That means he applied it so quick. And for somebody to latch on a submission and crush bones, that's crazy. I'm gonna have to do some independent research after this show to see how strong your jaw is, and a comparison to watermelon. It's already been asked, but people struggle with it. I wonder how much pressure a jaw is to break it. He did that.
I don't know if you saw the video. It's Bobby Lashley, former Bellator fighter. He was crushing a watermelon. You bought a watermelon. He was crushing a watermelon. I always thought those were fake, but I'm guessing if you got the strength and biceps, you can really do that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. But Chimaev, I mean, there's always been questions about him making weight because he couldn't make weight at welterweight, and not a lot of people, knew how he would translate up to middleweight because that's one of the biggest jumps. That and middleweight to light heavyweight is 20 pounds. Middleweight to welterweight is 15. So, that's a lot of weight to translate to. He faced Usman in middleweight, but Usman is a welterweight, and I guess this is his real first test at middleweight, and he passed it with flying colors. I'm gonna admire, I don't really see anybody testing him here because at middleweight at the top, you got a lot of people that like to stand up and bang, and he's not gonna play that game with you. He just showed what he's gonna do to you. He's gonna go right to his bread and butter, take you down, and drag you out into the deep waters and punish you down there on the ground. And but you got Izzy up there, you got DDP up there, you got Strickland. He's gonna do the same thing to those guys. And I was thinking that Izzy might, he just had bad nights, and he might get back up there and win the title again. But by the trajectory that Chimaev is on, I don't know if he'll get another shot at getting the title out, because once Chimaev gets up there, I can see him being a long-term champion. I mean, is it the title fight for him next, Admire, at this point?
Yeah, it's got to be. He'll get the winner of DDP Strickland. I mean, that's the only thing I can see.
And then, spoiler alert, I'm probably going to pick Chimaev to beat the winner of that. Who even tests this guy at this point if he puts up performances like that?
There's really nobody I could see. And I mean, we talked about him earlier, Magomedov, probably has some of the credentials on the ground, some dangerous, unorthodox striking, maybe that, but I mean, it's kind of early to call that when, I was already saying that he needs to have a test. I mean, that's too big of a jump. And I don't know if they're in the same camp. I know a lot of those guys are, but other than that, I mean, there's nobody in that top 15 that Chimaev isn't going to just take down and have his way with.
Steve?
I can't think of anybody, and Whitaker is no novice. He went with a Olympic medalist, Yoel Romero, and held his own. And then you got this guy Chimaev just totally dominated him. Whitaker was getting out of positions with Romero, but couldn't do anything. The only window, maybe somebody that has the skill, and this was in the past. I just had his name in my head. Had a good fight with him in welterweight.
Had a good fight with who?
Chimaev.
Poirier?
He had Chimaev actually went all 3 rounds. A Brazilian.
Oh, you're talking about Gilbert Burns?
Gilbert Burns. And I know that was a while, but it's like it surprised me that Gilbert Burns got through all that, considering how good he is. But I just can't even see anybody, not saying Gilbert Burns is somebody to get at Chimaev, but I just remember that's the last, I wouldn't even say weakness, somebody testing him. And I can't even think of anybody with collective skills to actually, get back on the feet like Gilbert did, or, or up to par with striking with him. I can't think of anybody that fits that can defend his takedowns, get up, and or stay up enough to strike him to knock him out or hurt him. The only person who would do that was Gilbert. So I mean, he took down Whitaker, who was an amazing striker and takedown defense person, and couldn't do it. So anybody above that, I don't think so.
So we talk about almost like the current ones that kind of been in the title picture, but what about like that next wave that, maybe not right now, but a fight or two or three might be able to give him some fits? What about like a fight nerd? The fight nerd's Kyle Bahio. That he kind of looks like Paulo, like a which version of Paulo Costa, with the fight nerd, the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
He's a black belt jiu-jitsu guy, so maybe that may be able to counteract like the takedown.
Maybe. I just think Chimaev's just so good that I don't even think it's going to matter at this point.
I'm trying to think I don't think, if there's anybody in middleweight, but I don't think he's really been tested with somebody who actually uses grappling as their forte too. So I think we still may have to see or wait till somebody arises to challenge him for that. But I don't see nobody near doing it, except who you said, Bahalo.
What about, okay, I know this is a long shot. This is a long shot. But if he gets a couple more fights quickly, what about the wrestling of Bo Nickel?
Right about him.
I mean,
we weren't that impressed with Bo Nickel's last fight, but that was the first time I think he had ever been on the main card. So it might have been butterflies, I don't know. But I mean, on paper, Bo Nickel's wrestling credentials should be able to keep up with Chimaev.
Yeah, NCAA, high level. I can't remember how his Olympic tryouts panned out. I don't know I think he might have barely missed a cut. But yeah, I mean, it's different types of wrestling though, because I want to say Chimaev is more so like over there, Eastern Europe type of sambo type wrestling, I want to say, versus collegiate. Yeah, it'd definitely be an interesting, clash of styles, so to speak. I wouldn't be mad at it if once Bo Nickel gets ranked. I just can't have him in there not even being ranked yet. So
right,
yeah, I mean that might be like the only high level wrestler that could in this division that could really give him fits. So might be on to something.
Or you just need the unorthodox style of Michel Pereira and throw him up there. Can't take him down and submit him if you can't catch him.
Yeah. The Michel Pereira that just lost. What was that last weekend? That was a good one. But you never know. We've seen crazier things in this sport that they call MMA. But from what we saw, once he gets that title shot, he might be holding on to that belt for a long, long time. So I guess the winner of this title fight may be food to Chimaev in the future. We'll see. Let's talk about this main event, fellas. UFC featherweight division. We had Ilia Topuria defeating Max Holloway. KO. Me and Amar both had Ilia Topuria, and Steve had Max Holloway. So this was a competitive one. Round one, Max tried to stay on the outside, but Topuria started pressing forward. Got the pre takedown, but did nothing with it. And then Max got back up on his feet and found the range and was popping that jab for the rest of the round. So that was pretty much the story of the fight until it ended. It was power versus volume. And towards the end of that first round, it looks like they got tangled up and Max fell down, but it wasn't a knockdown. And it ended up on the ground to finish. And then round two was a hard one to judge. Each guy had their moments, and Topuria started fast. Max settled in towards the end of the round and, was kind of sticking and moving again. And round three, Topuria finally started kind of figuring out that puzzle and was able to hurt Max with that right hand. And then a little bit later, he dropped him with that left hook and closed the show and got him out there first to finish Max Holloway in the fight by knockout. Way back in the day, Dustin Poirier submitted him. But yeah, your defending champion, Ilia Topuria, was able to hold on to that belt. What were your thoughts on this one, Amar?
This is a fun fight, of course. I mean, anything with these two guys is going to be fun. But I liked it because even though Topuria got takedowns in the first, I still scored the first for Max Holloway. I think he landed the more damage and bigger shots. Topuria didn't really do nothing with the takedown, but after that, it was kind of, the power was winning the battle over the volume. And you could see it just kind of catching on Max. And, it was sad kind of seeing the fable and folklore of Max Holloway go down. The guy has never been knocked out like that. Always a gamer, wanted to stand and trade and everything. So overall, fun fight. Sad to see Max go, but Topuria is a problem, man. Dangerous, super dangerous on the ground, but just showed this weekend that he can do it standing up. And I mean, he's just as good on his feet as he is on the ground. So I see him being up there for a long time.
Steve?
I guess I haven't seen enough of him until Saturday to, stamp him. This dude is a problem. I remember they said second round, they counted. Max Holloway threw over 200 strikes, that's amazing for in the second round. And I think his goal was to just keep volume until you can find your, find your shot, which never came. Sure was striking like it. And then he got caught with the third. He got caught with that right hand. I think if he would have never got caught and dazed, I don't think he would have got knocked out one flush like he did, because he did get hurt right before the finishing shot. That's what got him. I think that's what he was planning on, but it just shows that Topuria, if Max Holloway didn't know, and if he did, he probably knew he had to watch out for the power, which obviously he figured out that day. It ain't no fluke. He's done it many times, and if you're going to do it to Max Holloway, so-called being promoted to self-proclaimed best boxer in the UFC, not even just featherweight. He did an amazing job of capitalizing off the promotion.
Yeah, for sure. So, as I alluded to earlier, what's even next for Topuria at this division? I mean, got Volkanovski out of there. Volkanovski was on that historic stretch as far as featherweight goes. Got Holloway out there. Holloway just beat top 2 person in the lightweight division, knocked him out. Seems like the sky's the limit for Topuria. I don't know where we even go with him next, Admire.
I am 99% sure that they're going to do Diego Lopez against Topuria. Lopez is on that, fast track to the title, big trajectory, a lot of wins. I believe he was on standby in case something happened with this fight. So they were going to already throw him in there in case anything happened to Max or Topuria. So that's definitely what they're going to go with. I think Diego Lopez makes perfect sense. He's, number 3, hasn't faced Topuria. It'll be a fun fight. I mean, Lopez is good on the ground and good on the feet too. So I think it's a It's the fight to make.
That would definitely be the most intriguing one to make next. But what are your thoughts? What's next with Topuria, Steve?
I can agree. I can agree with that. I know Volkanovski came out, you know, and after the post fight, and got up there trying to challenge him. But I honestly don't want to see a Volkanovski just based off the way Topuria came in there and finished him. You know, it wasn't a decision loss. I would rather see the Lopez. I guess maybe it would matter if who has more popularity. But as I'm seeing, man, he's I can't. I would say Lopez is the best decision because I don't want to see a Volkanovski, although he's still up there ranked high. I think it's time to give Lopez a chance, just based on the fact the way he finished Volkanovski in, what was it, the first round?
I can't even remember off the top of my head, but I want to say it's pretty quickly where Volkanovski got finished. But yeah, I mean, Lopez is like the only fresh pick that you could really go with at the featherweight division. You got Allen and you got Evelev, but they're 30. That as far as like being in like a mainstream spotlight, like they haven't got that chance yet. But you got a lot of old faces that are in the featherweight division. You got Volkanovski, you got Holloway, Rayo Rodriguez, he's a former challenger. Ortega, former challenger. Josh Emmett, he's old. Aljamain Sterling, he's coming down from bantamweight up to featherweight. Calvin Kadar, we saw what Holloway did to him. And then when you go down to 11, then you got the Murphy who just fought. You got Giga Casey. It seems like he's, injured or he doesn't fight as often as you'd like to see him. Bryce Mitchell all the way down at 13. So you do the Lopez fight and then really go from there. Admire.
I don't know. By then, you don't know what's going to happen with Volk or Holloway. They might string together a couple wins in that time and end up, running it back or something. Max, lost this fight in kind of devastating fashion, but it's never happened to him before, and he was in it until he wasn't. So I could see them maybe running it back one day. I think Max has that kind of pull with the UFC. Other than that, I mean, there's, Brian Ortega, if he could string some wins together, would maybe be a good one, on the feet from that aspect. But other than that, I don't want to see, I don't know, Murphy maybe one of these days.
Yeah, that'd be way down the road. But speaking of Max Holloway, I mean, after the fight, he said this is not it for him, but hinted to, I guess, making lightweight as a permanent place to fight at. How do you think he would fare, if he was just straight up fighting at lightweight? Admire.
I don't know, man. I think that a lot of those guys in lightweight are too big for him. But he's held his own. He beat Gaethje. Gaethje's the perfect example. But what happens when he goes against somebody like a Chandler that's really good on the ground, going to take him out.
Yeah, but Chandler doesn't really wrestle anymore like that.
Yeah, but it's Max Holloway. He ain't gonna want to stand there and trade. He's seen what happened before. I don't know. I mean, if I was Max, I would want to do lightweight just because he's a vet. Quit cutting weight. Going through all that. Just walk around comfortable. Put in your time. I know a lot of people are clamoring again. He makes it into every show. Everybody's talking about a Conor McGregor rematch for Holloway.
Nah, I'm not interested in that. What do you think, Steve?
Well, as far as lightweight Max Holloway,
yeah.
Well, I think he still has the aura from his last lightweight fight to where where we left off with Poirier before the Gaethje. Oh man, he got destroyed by Poirier last time. What is he gonna do? And what did he do? He surprised us with the Gaethje knockout. So I think he has the aura still on him that he can be respected at lightweight. But me looking at it, I think one of those people at lightweight can, easily dominate him. I don't know who off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure he'll run into somebody. I think it boils down to the style. We'll make the fight to see if he wins or not. If he fights a good wrestler at lightweight, I think they may be able to get a takedown on him.
Going to your point, Steve, it all depends on, I guess, matchups. But going back to what you said, Admire, who was clamoring for him to rematch McGregor?
I've seen it in a lot of comments, and I've seen it on Reddit, things like that. I mean, the Max fans want Max to get that win back. Max Holloway's a completely different fighter now. The McGregor fans just want to see McGregor back, and think that's somebody he would have a chance with that would stand and trade with him instead of using the wrestling. So, I mean, I don't really put much stock into McGregor fighting again, so I'm not going to worry about that one. But I did see a fun fact. Everybody who has won the BMF belt combined went on to be 0-6.
I saw
Masvidal lost, Gaethje lost, now Holloway lost.
I guess it's a curse. I saw a false one. I don't know if you sent it to me, but it was like everyone that won the BMFL got knocked out the next fight. It wasn't quite true because Masvidal lost by decision to Usman his next fight, and then he got knocked out by Usman in the fight after that. So it's kind of true. It was kind of true, but hey, I guess it's a curse having that if you believe in superstitions and whatnot. But yeah, I'm not interested in McGregor and Holloway. I think both of them are on different trajectories. I don't even know how much of a trajectory McGregor is because he doesn't fight. But I think Max Holloway would be in it with anybody that he faces at lightweight after that showing I saw him against Justin Gaethje, except for the champion, which is, I think, why Max is still doing it, because he wants to be champion somewhere. I don't think it'll turn well against Islam Makhachev. So he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I don't know. I don't know how much weight he could cut. Aldo did it, got down to bantamweight. I don't know if Holloway could do it. He might just be a little bit too big to cut down there. But like we said, we thought Holloway would, not Holloway, Jose Aldo. I might have said Holloway earlier. Jose Aldo was able to cut down the bantamweight. Nobody thought he could do it. Holloway's a thin person, so if he wanted to chase a belt, I think he'd have better chances of doing that if he's able to cut the weight. Because Aldo, I feel like Aldo has a little bit more muscle mass than the Max Holloway too. Even Max is a naturally thin guy, but I mean, I don't know. You look at the champion Merab Dallas-Philly, like, he's gonna go for a takedown, trying to take Max down as well. So I don't know. It might just be bad timing for Max Holloway to get a belt back. He still go down in history as one of the best champions down there at featherweight. Just put some fun fights at this point.
Dude, I hope he does the fun fights. Like I'd like to see Max against some of those dream matchups. Put him against Sean O'Malley. I think that would be a good fight. That'd be fun to watch. But he's earned his rank and the right to call the shots.
Definitely, and either way, he's going to go into the Hall of Fame. So, and he's never been knocked out before, so it's not like he's not going to Chuck Liddell situation where he just keeps getting knocked out and it's time for him to retire. I think he's 32, maybe 33. So he's kind of like at the stage where it's, people have two chapters of their career, and he's definitely in that second half. And you see like a Robbie Lawler that's able to have like a second half. Go over to Shara, even though both of them won their titles in the second half, but maybe it's just his second half is just fun fights. So we'll see how that shakes out. And circling back around to the Conor McGregor, I don't know the order of events that is happening because it's hard to get inside this guy's brain and what he's thinking, but he hinted at retiring or announced his retirement this weekend. But I also saw that he challenged Topuria to a fight as well. So I don't know what order it happened, whether he challenged him or retired. This guy is on one, but can you see that fight happening? McGregor versus Topuria? I
don't see McGregor coming back, man.
If he were to come back, hypothetically,
I would watch it, of course.
Would that fight happen? Would that fight get made first, or would they try to circle back around to Chandler?
They can't, man. McGregor's been out of it so long that he needs a top 10 to 15 stand-up fighter. Like, they're not going to put him anywhere that he's going to get taken down and controlled and all that. They're going to put him somewhere that's his bread and butter. They want to get paychecks out of him. It's bad business if they bring him back just to get taken down and submitted easily or punched out. I know.
But we just saw that Topuria will stand and bang with you, even though he's amazing on the ground. The fight will probably play out just like it did against Holloway. He'd probably just stand up with him. You don't think that would how it would be played out?
It's like I mentioned before. I think it's people want to beat McGregor at his own game, so I think he would stand there and trade with him. I think he would knock McGregor out. I think you would see basically what we just saw with Max. If Topuria ever at all feels like McGregor's getting the best of him on the feet, Topuria would take him down. But I think he's going to try to beat him on the feet first. But you can't bring McGregor back and just throw him up there at the top, and just jump everybody.
I mean, why not? Dana White shows that if it's all about making a dollar, that's what he's going to do.
But it's also featherweight. You're not going to see McGregor cut to featherweight.
Yeah, but I'm hearing people were throwing out ideas that it'd be like a special attraction fight at lightweight or welterweight if he were to do that. You didn't see that happening?
I mean, they could try. How tall is Topuria?
What 5'9", 5'8",
5'7". He's
5'7". He was shorter than I thought.
So I mean, if they're fighting at 170, then he's really, really undersized. I mean, he has fought at lightweight before, but there's still 15 pounds between lightweight and welterweight. So for him to jump up a whole 25 pounds, I think he's going to be undersized compared to McGregor, because McGregor can put on some thick muscle. We've seen him do it before. So 155 or nothing for me.
Catch weight 160. I mean, McGregor's not a huge welterweight. I've seen him barely make welterweight 160.
That's actually a good idea. And do a catch weight of 160.
I don't know. What do you think? You think that'd be a good comeback fight for him, Steve, or you see him doing something else before that?
Yeah, I can say that would be a good comeback fight. The results, I would say, possibly giving himself a chance to, probably lose, because when I think about size and then weight classes, say he's 5'7" and going up to welterweight or 160. And somebody that I know that's about that size and did pretty good in welterweight, but was undersized, was Tyron Woodley. He was like 5'9" and still wasn't, he was, as far as height, a smaller welterweight. Being 5'7" welterweight, I think that's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, those 2 inches matter.
Oh, yeah. So I would be very entertained. I would love to fight. And I can see him, taking a fight for the money income and risking his belt or I don't even know if they'll even have the belt on the line. But you know, a fight with McGregor, he might do it for the stakes.
Yeah, everybody wants that money fight with McGregor, and I'll put the spotlight on Topuria because I think they will, after this Holloway result, they are going to try to strap the rocket to him and, you know, try to do something with him, maybe have a fight over there in Spain. So McGregor fight would definitely, you know, fast forward that some and, you know, get a faster result of him being more of a household name. But he's got the skill and he's young, he's 27 or so. Like, the champion is younger than like basically all of the challengers underneath him. So you got a lot of things you could do with him, but I'm curious to see what happens with that. And I'm with Am. I don't know if we'll see. I'm done with speculating McGregor fighting. I don't think he'll come back. For some reason, if he does come back, this might be a far shot. I think the Diaz fight would be the fight that was on the table, but I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But overall, it was a pretty fun card. Daytime cards, which some people don't like, but like I said, I enjoyed it. I was on my couch watching it. And the records for the fight, Admire went 3-2, Steve went 4-1, and I went 5-0 for the second time this year. So maybe Admire's right. Maybe I should start actually putting money on these fights. I don't know. Guess we'll see how the vote turns out next week with that prop 2 Admire, and that'll be a game changer if you start getting in on these apps.
maybe get a little gambling app sponsorship.
Yeah, that would be great. So I need to start putting out feelers for that. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the show almost. But what's the next card we got? We got John Jones. Oh, that's a big one. This will be our first John Jones fight previewing. I think our very first show we talked about, because John Jones just fought like maybe a week before that. I think we talked about it a little bit, but we've never got a preview of John Jones fight. So got that to look forward to. And we also got Mike Tyson coming up. So I'm still working on something that we'll do for that. So we'll keep everybody posted on social media and all that good stuff to see what we're doing for that. But that'll do it for us at Haymaker Combat Sports. Make sure to follow us on all social media. Make sure to follow the YouTube pages. We put both shows out on YouTube and all the audio platforms. But until next time, be safe out there. Later.
Hit the takedown, ground and pound, that was from the top. Heel hooking on one platter, leave you in the knot. Pound for pound, been the greatest. Sitting on the top, and I'm laughing at